There's this scene in the movie Den of Thieves that kind of lives rent-free in my head, and more specifically there's a shot in this scene in the movie. It's basically toward the end of the movie, there's a shootout and it's wonderfully filmed, and there's this very brief shot of a flyby drone going over the area that the characters are fighting in and just showing like an overview of what's happening. It's not like a high quality, cinematic 4K drone. It looks very home video-y, low resolution, but I just love the impact of that random shot in this moment of chaos in what is a very well filmed movie. There was a very intentional decision to include that very brief shot of a few seconds in that movie. And I think that's how I would like to think about drone footage. That's how I would like to personally use my drone. I bought the DJI Mini 4K recently and I started to use it. Usually when it comes to freelance filmmaking, it's typical to see that one of the first things that a videographer will buy in their kit is a drone of some sort. I put it off for the longest time. I always had it on my list of things to buy, but there was always something else I wanted to buy, be it a lens or even a lighting, a battery. There was always something I wanted to add to my kit that took more priority in my mind over a drone. And the reason I feel like that is because, as I've spoken about before on this channel, I'm not really that kind of TikTok-y, Instagram-y, fast-paced content creation. Lots of video effects and filming on a gimbal and zooming in and out and panning and fast pans and flying a drone around in a very cool way. I'm not that kind of filmmaker. I'm not that kind of cinematographer. I view myself really more so as a storyteller, and I continuously ask myself why I do anything in anything I create. That doesn't mean that everything I do is perfect. No, not at all. But what I'm saying is that every time I frame something a certain way, every time I light something a certain way, anytime I use my 6K instead of my 4K or my anamorphic lens instead of my vintage lens, the reason I must be asking myself is why. And I never really saw the point of having a drone in any of my footage until I actually bought one. And I know I'm years late into the game, but I finally bought a drone because I needed it for a project. The video I was creating was for a client who wanted to build a community center, and they wanted some flyby footage of the community center itself. Usually I hire someone to fly a drone for me or I'll rent one, but I thought, you know what, screw it, let me just finally pick one up because I can use it for the future. And once I got it, I was actually very surprised by how much it actually adds to the video. I know that might seem like a very obvious thing to say, but layering up your video with drone footage, as I mentioned before, if you use it to accent your video in the right way, it can really be something very pleasing to the eye. Ultimately with video, you're really trying to be as creative as you can with your camera, with movement, in trying to ensure that you're presenting your video in a very unique way and trying to capture the audience's attention. And drone footage is drone footage. You're not bound by holding a camera physically in your hand. You can go up, down, you can go as far up as you can possibly go. You can look down, look left, look right. You're not as weighed down by the physics of having a camera. Now, of course, the DJI Mini 4K specifically, I'm sure it's different for other drones, but the footage itself is not really on par of the quality that I want in my videos. But at the same time, I still think about that shot that I saw in Den of Thieves, where it's like the director is not trying to fool you when it comes to the quality of the drone footage compared to what's being shot on the ground. No, he's actually trying to tell you, look, this is low quality footage. This is a homemade look, and I'm giving to you as it is. And I think if anything, if there is that kind of disparity in quality between what I'm filming on my camera, my lens, and the drone footage that I'm showing you that's in the sky, I actually like that more because it makes my footage in the video look better. I'm not at all an expert when it comes to flying a drone. It's a very easy thing to do anyway. But once in a while, taking it out and just flying it around gives me some beautiful shots. I've been flying it around locally. I took it to London, to the place where I grew up, which is surrounded by, tower blocks or skyscrapers. And flying my drone around the concrete jungle that is London just looked amazing. It looked phenomenal. And I think it goes to show you that even though you have a drone, it's also important to think about what you're filming and how you're filming it. If there's a lot going on in the image in terms of the 3D-ness, is that a word, of the image, the blocking of the image, then you're going to get a much more enjoyable image. You're going to get a much more pleasing image. And for me, the biggest selling point was also just the size of this thing. I mean, look, because this is the DJI Mini right here. Look at that. I mean, it literally fits in the palm of my hand. Amazing. Just the fact that I can put this in my camera bag, I can even put it in my laptop bag if needed. And it also comes with the remote control here, which connects straight to your phone, as you know. That for me is just amazing. It's amazing because it's something I don't need to think about. It's not like my camera where I have to think about the batteries and the wires and the monitor and the lighting and go through 1,000 things on my checklist thinking about what I need to bring, etc. No, it's very simple. And I think for me, that's the best thing I like about this drone specifically, and utilizing it in my workflow is that I don't have to think about it too much. It's not a headache for me. I am not a professional drone operator. That's not who I am, that's not who I'm going to be. But to have this in my arsenal and allow it to accent my videos in the right way is something very beneficial. So yeah, hope you like that. I'll see you next week. Bye.